Hey, welcome to Matt and Mike's Garage. And today, I'm going to change the engine oil filters, and I'm going to check my spark plugs on my 2008 Yamaha SX230. I've had this boat since 2017. It is of the high output variety. I really like this boat. For my area, this was big, putting these on. Haven't done much at all to it. I did have to change one of the calipers. It froze up. I just keep everything greased. The boat sat at a marina its entire life, so the trailer has hardly any miles on it. So I did throw a spare on it last year. Yeah, it's all in all, it's not too bad. I did buy new Yamaha decals. The upper ones. I cannot seem to find the lower ones though. I wouldn't mind changing them out. There's a couple scuffs in it, but a lot of the guys take these factory decals off and go with vinyl wraps and stuff. I really just like the factory look of these. I think they look good. I think it's holding up fairly well. You can tell it's not a brand new boat, but hey, you know, it sells now for more than what it was when it was new. So I believe this boat has around 120 hours on the engines. Actually, that's what it was when I bought it, but trust me, I ain't heard it much. Maybe 10 hours. I mean, that's pushing it if I put that much on it in the last few years. We do a lot of swimming and fishing on this, actually. So I pulled a tube some with it for a couple years, but the kids weren't really into it, so we didn't do it very long. I got a longer rope because the jet, because it's not a prop boat, the jets were misting the kids pretty good, and when you get to moving, that stings pretty good. So they just weren't really into it. So, and now with fuel getting the way it is, yeah, a lot of swimming and fishing gonna happen. So here, I'll show you what I have here. This is what I run in mine. I normally don't show anybody what I run in my products, but I run Mobil 1. It's the only vehicle that I still run Mobil 1 in, and Mobil 1's a great product, but I've switched to mainly Rotella and everything. So, and then here is a pump that I borrow off a guy from work every time I want to change my oil. It just hooks up to the battery here, and then you just run this small tube down inside, and that's pretty much it. You'll go inside your oil fill, and then there's a switch for flow. So make sure when you go to shut it off that you don't flip it off in reverse, because then you'll just dump oil like all over the boat. Ask me how I know. So like I said, I'll make a quick video showing you how to take the air cleaner off and check your plugs. I changed these ones 3 or 4 years ago now, and there's nothing wrong with the ones I took out. Things been running fine. I kept the original ones in case I ever have an issue. I pulled these out because I've heard of there being a problem with the especially the number 3 plug seizing up, but I checked these after being in for 3 or 4 years and they were fine. But then I had put anti-seize on the plugs beforehand, so that's pretty key, because you are talking aluminum heads, and I mean, technically I guess the plug is steel, so you gotta watch that. So don't over tighten stuff, and check Yamaha's website or their manuals for the torque specs. I don't put that in here either. So if you're after that, and if you're pretty new at this stuff, I would probably recommend checking that out. That way you're not putting a spark plug in at 50 foot-pounds, you know. I don't even know what they're supposed to be, but it's not that much. They're a very small diameter plug, and you're putting it into aluminum, so I don't go crazy with stuff. But like I said, if you don't know, look, if you feel pretty confident, put a couple Ugga Duggas on it and you'll be fine. So anyhow, that being said, I will get you back to the boat, because instead of looking at my ugly mug, and we'll get you inside there. We will change some oil, and we will check the spark plugs. See ya. There's a 2008 Yamaha SX230 HO, and it has twin MR1 engines. So I'm going to take off the engine cover, air filter. I'm going to go into the spark plugs and check them. I'm not going to change them more than likely. I already did the other engine, so I'm going to show you guys how to change your spark plugs. And then I'll show you where your oil is. And that's just about it. So it should be a pretty easy deal. So you guys don't have to pay the ridiculous prices that the dealers want to pay to do this. So there are these little push tabs on this engine cover. And all you're going to do is push, and it slides over. It'll come right off. Push, slide over. There are 2 on each side of this engine cover. So we're going to push and slide. Push and slide. Push and slide. Push and slide. And then there are 2 screws. You can use a Phillips or a straight on these. They made it nice for you. So there we go. Today would be a good day to do this because it's going to be 90 today. It's going to make me really want to get out on the lake. We had a little setback because we had a lot of flooding. So don't be afraid to pull, because the seal gets stuck. So don't get scared. As long as you have all these pulled the whole way back, you'll be fine. See how this couple inches, pull it back and you'll be fine. Now don't just flip this upside down, because these screws will come clean out. So just lay it like this somewhere, and then you'll see your air filter, and you remove the air filter. There is a tab on the bottom, and it fits right in this cutout. And this one looks great. I mean, this boat it's 14 years old, but the hours are really low on it. As you can see, the filter is very clean. I may need to move you guys over here so you can see the majority of this. This isn't a very good vantage for you guys to see the spark plug coils, and so I'm going to move you to the other side. So take 5. Okay guys, sorry about the move there. Hopefully you can see what you need here. You need a 10mm socket, because there's bolts on top of each coil. So we can loosen these right now. Just pop them loose. And apparently the word on the street is the number 3 spark plug is the one that always gets tight. But when I put these plugs in when I bought the boat 3 years ago, I put Never-Sees on them so I wouldn't have that issue. And there's a connector on this boot. So I'll start with number 4 and I'll work my way back towards you guys. So you just push down on the back of the connector and it'll slide right off. It's so simple. Okay. I know you guys, all you see is my fat hand right now. I'm just taking the bolt out with the 10mm head. Okay, there's your bolt. I have the connector off. We will turn it. I usually start rotating it a little bit just to loosen it up, and it'll pop right out of there. And it's one of the coils. The coils built in to this whole setup here. So I have it tilted the wrong way, but bam, there you go. There is your coil. That is the number 4 coil. They're all the same. I'm sure they're the same on the jet skis. I'm going to go ahead and pull all these back on each one of these. This is number 2 right here, and number 1 up front. I'll take the bolts out of all 3 of these now. And I'm probably going to let the other 3 in, just so I can have all the hardware out of the way before I get the other 3 spark plug coils out of the way. You really don't want to do that. So there we go. Perfect. We have 3 bolts out of the way now. Now we'll put the spark plug socket on. And I keep this on the boat all the time. It's a 5/8 inch spark plug socket on an extension and a breaker bar. That way, if I ever need to get out in the water, like when I'm out on the water and one of these drops and I start having a miss or an issue, I can pop these right out. And that was just a very, very, very small amount of force to get that off there. So I think the problem people are having is they're just trying to tighten these too much, and then when they try to take them out, it's just like they can't be using any kind of anti-seize. So there's my plug. We'll put that here in front of you. You can see it's burning nice. Looks perfect, and I am not replacing these. But I will put some new anti-seize back on this and drop it back in. The spark plug socket has the rubber boot inside that holds it out. It makes it a must. You need to have that rubber boot inside that socket to get the plug out. And this is a CR9EB. It's an NGKR rated plug. I'll get some new never seize here, or anti-seize. Put that on there, and there we go. So I'll drop this back into the plug, or into the spark plug socket, and there we go. Make sure you don't get any anti-seize on the end of your plug. And we will drop that right back in there. I'll switch arms so you can actually see. This is normally how I do this. You'll just run it down in by hand. And it should go in by hand. If it don't, you have problems. It should go the whole way down until you bottom out pretty much. And then I'm sure there's a torque value for this. I've been doing this stuff for 25 years. And this is an aluminum head. And you need to keep that in mind. You have an aluminum head here. I put about, and you can see where I have the wrench. I have it right here. I'm not out here cranking on it. If you're out here cranking on, you're gonna strip your aluminum threads out. Keep it in here. Boom, right there. That's 5 ugga-duggas. After 5 ugga-duggas, you're fine. So I will get this coil, and I will put this on here with some anti-seize, and I also put some dielectric grease in the middle. That way it doesn't get stuck. So here's your dielectric grease. It's called Tune-Up Dielectric Grease 22058. I bought this from Napa. I have nothing in this, meaning I have no affiliate link. I'm not getting paid for that. Nothing. I'll put some more anti-seize around the top rings here. This is where it's going to get stuck. Also down here. These little ribs are what centers the bottom, so it fits on your plug bam, just smear it around a little bit. It's very lightly coated. And then we will grab this, drop it right back down in the hole, move our plug out of the way. Boom, that's it, right there. I'll grab my bolt, put a little bit of anti-seize, and then drop it. That's why you have a magnet. Okay, after you fish your magnet around for 15 minutes trying to find your bolt, you then put your bolt in. And there's a 10mm head on it. And then bam. Snug her down. Put your clip on, it slides right back up on there. Here's the second one. Rinse and repeat, people. There's nothing really new here. You'll do all four. Take your 10mm bolt out of right here. You get your spark plug socket, and this is the dreaded number 3. It was barely even. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure on it, so barely even had any torque. It wasn't loose, but it was very, very, very low on the torque value. The main key here is make sure you put in anti-seize on your spark plugs, and then you will not have issues. So let's pop this off. Bring the spark plug out so you guys can have a nice view of it. And bam. I have the plugs that came out of this thing 3 years ago, and I keep them in case one of these drops out, but they're fine. Some people change them every year, but I might put 5-10 hours a year on my boat, so I'm not really pressed to change these every year, especially with the price of fuel now. More than likely just be taking the family swimming down to the cove, and we'll go fishing. I don't see me putting more than 5 hours on the engines this year. So we're all never seized back up. Going back in number 2. It'll just be reversed as far as the air filter. Just remember your tab goes in here. I'll go ahead and put this second. I'll put this second plug back in and put the coil in case this one shows better for you guys at home. And that's it. I'm not gonna bother doing the other two. It's just redundant at this point. Perfect. You don't need to kill this stuff, guys. It's aluminum. And I'm gonna grab some Never Seas and put on this. I do remember when I took these coil packs out the first year that I serviced the boat, it was quite the task to try to get the it was quite the task. But these ones came right out, and I haven't had them out for 3 years, so there you go. Anytime you're dealing with steel and aluminum, I suggest Never Seas. Because corrosion happens, and that's when you can't get your bolts out. There's number 2, snug, and boom. So we have our number 4 and number 3 cylinders done. I'm going to leave this here, because I don't think you guys need to see this. I'll go ahead and turn it back on when I put the air filter and the cover back on, just to show you guys that. Okay guys, I have all the spark plugs anti-seized, all of the caps back on, coils, and all the bolts back on. If you're a torque pro, you can always look up the torque values. I've been doing this long enough to know about by feel what everything should be. Don't feel need to comment if you're a torque snob, so I don't really give a shit. So at any rate, you put all these back here. All of them go straight back. That one got. There you go. Bam. So now we're good. Once you get them all where they need to be, you'll know. Because then you can start tightening them up. Bam, bam, and bam, and bam. It's quite a unique setup they have on this cover. It's, I don't even know why you would need screws on this. They did not want it coming off, that is for sure. So I'm not gonna complain. These engines are very, very durable. This is the Yamaha MR1 high output engine. They're notorious for being very, very well built. So there's a very good chance I'm not gonna mess with these again until I need, you know, until I need to. I'll check the plugs in another year or two. This is this is where your oil fill is. Now you can't really check your oil here. Wait till you get on the water and see where you're at. That is a must. I used Mobile high mileage 10W40 full synthetic is what I have in these. So this year when I get out in the oil, when I get out in the oil and start swimming around in the oil, I'll check my water. How's that? When I get out in the water, first trip out, I'm gonna check the oil. I was gonna change it, but I don't really see any need to. I don't put enough hours on this boat to justify changing it every year, like some of you guys in the better weather areas do. So with that being said, I'll double check it out on the water, and I'll add as needed, if needed, because there's nothing showing now. But I have it on the trailer, and it's jacked to the back, which would probably be putting it to the back of this chamber where the oil goes. I go filling it here, and I'll be way over full when I get out in the water. So that being said, you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed, learned a little bit as far as changing your plugs. Definitely put anti-seize on these plugs, because that's a problem. These number 3 plugs, which is the next one in from the back, are notorious for being tight, and guys are doing a lot of work. Mine were not, but I put anti-seize on them the first time I did them 3 years ago, and they weren't even thinking about it being tight. So anti-seize your plugs and you'll be fine. Hello YouTube. I'm going to show you how to change the oil on my 2008 Yamaha SX230. It has the MR1 engines that are known to be pretty much the shit. Bulletproof engines here. So I'm going to try to get this straw down in this oil reservoir as far as I can. And there is a little trick to this, and I don't remember what it is, but it'll go down in there pretty far and allow you to get just about every last drop out. So I think we're good right there. The particular oil extractor I have here is it's an electric one, so I'll just hook it up to my battery here, and then I flip it on, and then you should see the oil come up that tube and into this. Okay, there we go. Apparently I had it going the wrong way. Here we go. It's definitely quite the noisy guy when it's sucking the oil up. That's for sure. We shall see. I'm just kind of curious to see how much we got out of 2 engines here. In theory, there should be close to a couple gallons here. Hello, YouTube. I'm gonna work on getting my filter off here. I already used my wrench. I'm throwing a rag down the bottom, catch the extra oil. I don't know how many hours I put on this oil, but I'd say it was probably less than 20. Honestly, there's not too many hours on this oil. Okay, sorry, I really didn't cover it very well, but put approximately what you take out back in and wait till you get on the water, and that's where you'll check your oil. You can't check it here on the trailer. Put it in the water, run it around a little bit, keep an eye on your gauges. After you run it around for a few minutes, shut her down, let her sit for a minute or two, open up your engine hatch and see where your oil level is, and then add to it right there on the water. Put a little funnel in and you'll be fine. That's the best way to do it. Save yourself some money. Do it yourself. It's not hard, but your actual oil level will need to be checked on the water. You can't really replicate it here, and trust me, you don't want to go through the crap of having it overfull. So just, you know, keep an eye on what you take out and try to put that back in, at least close to it, and then run a little bit, and you should be fine. If you have a couple little small pans, that'd be great too. Like maybe cut out the bottom of a windshield washer jug or any small pan, and then put that underneath your oil filter when you try to take it out. If not, just put a couple rags down there, an old towel, and that'll suck up most of the oil that comes out from that. Other than that, I think that's it. So, hope you found this useful. Just thought I'd make it. It's nothing earth-shattering, so if you're already mechanically inclined, you can just buzz through this. You'll be fine. Thanks for watching this episode. Mad Mike's Garage. I can't wait to get this out.